Welcome to An Evening with Philip Downs, who has extensive experience with radio control systems over several years and will be able to answer questions you might have about them. If anyone has any specific requests, please let us know via the chat so Philip can cover those too. Welcome, Philip. Thank you for joining us, and over to you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I want to look at that 60 joined in. That's excellent, wonderful. I think first thing I need to establish my lack of credentials, really, to be talking to you. What you're going to get is sort of anecdotal evidence, really, stories from my 20-ish years of mucking about with different radio systems. We're going to look at 5 different systems. Are they the best ones you can get? I don't know. They're 5 that I've really enjoyed using, and they've all got strengths. And I don't recommend it, but that's why I'm still running 5 different types of radio system on my layout. It's not to be recommended when you're struggling to look which controller to pick up when you're trying to avoid an accident. But I've always been in, I like the gadget side of things. I was into Hornby 01 when that came out. You'll remember that a long time ago. And then the Airfix multi-control system thing with the sliders. So I've always been into the technical things, I suppose, under the hood, looking inside. By the time I was 8 or 9, I was better with a soldering iron than a pen. Probably still the same. Writing's atrocious. So Philip, why did you take that loco apart? It was brand new. Oh, I wanted to put a light in it, Dad. So I've always been tweaking things and looking inside, and I'm dealing with the electronics and that sort of thing. Not an engineer of any sort, electronics or electrical radio, anything like that, or chemist. I might talk about battery chemistry and things like that, but it's just what I've read and what I've experienced. When I look at the guild membership, there's some proper engineers there, and I'm wondering how come you've not volunteered for this? But so this is going to be just some stories, accounts of why I use these systems, why I think some of you might enjoy them as well. We're not looking at converting locos tonight. We're just looking at the systems, and because all the locos now, they need batteries and they need a power. They need a power switch, they need a charge socket, and those are sort of common to them all. But how are you going to control it? That's the thing. What do you want from your loco once you get it when it's working? It's got its autonomous power and it's running on its own around the garden or around your layout room or whatever. What do you want it to do, and how many bells and whistles do you want on it? So there's various systems we're going to look at. I've got a few locos with their lids off over here. We can look at some of these devices inside them, but in some ways the installation is sort of immaterial to the actual radio system that's being used. So we're going to start and have a look. I'm going to start by having a sip of water. Oh dear me. So that was Alexa popping up. I'm going to look at the simplest system, and I mean that as a compliment, devised by Chris Rennie, and this is called Loco Remote. Some of you, particularly if your hobby's crossed into garden rail, I did take a break myself. About the turn of the century, you'd have found me taking an angle grinder to the tenders of US O-scale brass locos. You had to think some of the things I'd do with power tools back then, but trying to stuff them full of NiCads and NIMs and that to try and make them run as long as possible. But then I had a little bit, I'm only going to mention it once, I had a few years where I went to G scale, G gauge, and with a 45 mil, but not for long. And that's all I'll mention. That I was attracted back to O gauge again by Helljan's blue diesels they kept bringing out. I couldn't resist. So this is very popular in the G scale, in the little four-wheel type of locos and that sort of thing. Let's have a, here it is here, but I'm going to swap to the other camera, and you can see a closer look at its size. This is one of the simple, it says loco remote. Chris Rennie is the one who invented these, sold these, and these are a Wi-Fi device, and we'll see it working. But it's very simple. You do see those four connections there, because there's battery power in, and there's a motor output out, and that in its basic form, that's all there is to it. And you control it by a Wi-Fi a browser web page. Doesn't need an app or anything. So there's no phones to keep up to date for this. You can use a smartphone or your old tablet, because it just needs a browser. And I thought we'd have a look at it going, because it's so simple to set up and use. I thought we'd have a quick go so you can see what the interface is like. Because it may be that some of you, I'll just going back. Some of you may just want something outside of the garden. You might like to leave your locos running and just sit there with a beer or wine or something, and just let your locos go around the garden, and they just trundle around, and the sound of the wheels and every now and then it passes nearby. That might be quite relaxing. That's all you need, and it may be something that this would do okay for you. So I've lost my battery. Where's the battery gone? Ah, it's inside. It's inside of the loco. So let's get it powered up and connect it the right way, or it goes pop. I'll put the motor on. Whoop. Okay, so this isn't that old. It's an Android pad, but I've used this system with I think the oldest phones I've got that still work are Samsung S3, and I've just looked it up because I wasn't sure how old they're, but I think they're coming up to 13 years old now. Samsung S3 is an Android phone, and you can still buy batteries for it. That was a good thing about the Android things, because you can get, unlike Apple, you can replace the battery. So that's makes it quite handy. So right, it's turned up on the Wi-Fi list there, Mega B there. Okay. Oh, let's ask for the so much for setting it up earlier. Right, that's connected. It's probably to pop up and warn me that there's no internet. There's no internet. This doesn't supply the internet, and the tablet's panicking. Into the browser, and here's get the light out of the way. Here's the interface for it. So simple, and that's good for me. Occasionally, if I feel like leaving something running, that's all I need. And it's set to forward, a couple faster. See the speed here. It reports the battery voltage as well, so you can see when you're getting near the charge. And that's the basic motor control is there. And you can first gear goes up to 60%, I believe. Thumbs up here, and you can see that screen okay. Yeah. And then there's a coaster to stop where the speed just ramps down gracefully. And that's it. And again, I think the real good thing about this is that I know all of you here will be able to just get the batteries and one of these, and you'll all be able to use this system, because you've got a Wi-Fi device tonight. I would imagine connecting up to Zoom. There's several in the range, that Chris does. This one is they call it a mega because it's not because it's big, but it's this is the 6 to 12 volt one. He does a 3 to 6 volts designed for like a single lithium battery, say. But this one is a 6 to 12 volt one because I was planning to use it in something a bit bigger. Got one of the others here. I'll show you this one here. Let's get a bit closer. This is called a what's that mega? I can't remember now. The Panicas, maybe forget what this range is called. But this one has two motor outputs on it. So it can. Oh yeah, that's the the motor. It can 2 amps per motor. A motor output, and so this is the one you'd use for a big Heritage diesel. And this was a very quick installation here. One motor output goes to one motor. The other motor output goes to the original board, so that all the lights work, the directional lights work. Apart from the tail lights, which are connected to the light output that this board has as well, because these are available just with the motor, and they have directional lights on them. Then they could have sort of limited sound, sort of basic horn sounds, and they're sort of generic sounds, but you can send, for a small fee, I think you can send your own samples, the sounds you'd like to have on the little chip inside. So let's just demonstrate how the interface changes when there's different features on the actual product. Right, so these are all Wi-Fi. They're Wi-Fi based, and they each run their own little Wi-Fi. So we'll go back in and see if this one appears. Have I turned it on? Yes, it is. There we go. And you can rename the Wi-Fi access point it uses. This Western Gladiator here. We go back to the browser. All of a sudden, now we've got extra buttons. Got extra buttons on the more advanced receiver. Got the usual speed ones, and then there's a lights button, and in my case, that just does the tail lights. These sounds aren't this is made for an external sound card, which I can't demonstrate. I haven't got one. So this, unfortunately, this one doesn't play sounds, I'm afraid. I have to report that. If you so
that kind of brings a whole new dimension to tabletop railway, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. Who needs any track anywhere? You can't make it go the right direction, of course. So this is probably the cheapest way of getting a big Heritage diesel onto radio control, onto remote control. This battery pack is a Fosworks supplied one. Absolute maximum of 15 volts for the 6 to 12 volt version. This is 10 cells. So nominal voltage 12 volts, but when they're fully charged, they're sort of 14 and a bit. So it's under the 15 max. Yeah, so that's a brief look at the Loco remote system, which is a really neat little system. It's very expensive. Putting digital sound and other things inside Locos is quite an expensive business, and I thought, looking at all my blue boxes that are sitting there, I thought I want to get some of these running. So I should probably fit a few of these in just so I can get them running around the garden. Initially, at least, just without sound. But quite often, this is the sort of thing I'll put a Loco remote in. This is one you'll recognise the Lima diesel. You can see I put one of the CD-ROM draw motors in to replace the original one. And this is just, I don't know, there's no need to see this one running, but this is like you can see, it's a single lithium ion cell. It charges on USB-C, and there's the power switch there. But that happily we had that running. We had about 3.5 hours or so, and the battery was about, I suppose, about 60% depleted the other day. Just putting the kids, once the kids saw they could use their phone to control it, they were all over it. They really liked that.
Philip,
Yeah,
that's loco remote control, isn't it? Or loco remote.
loco remote, one word. Yeah,
Yeah,
loco
local
remote.
remote. So that would be locoremote.co.uk for information
That's it.
on that. Yeah,
That's it.
brilliant.
Yeah, there's one. You can see it's quite a range of
Yeah.
idea in that.
Dr. Dave has posed a question. What do you use to protect the battery?
Well, I'll start with the lithium. This little charge board. I'll get a charge board actually to show you. I've got a little box of battery bits I put somewhere. There you go. Um, when I'm just charging a single lithium, I normally collect one of these little boards. If you can, I hope you possibly make out at the end, you've got a B minus and B plus at there.
Yeah, I can just see those, Philip.
And you connect the battery to that, and then the actual load goes on the outside ones. And what the board does is it protects the cell from going. I think once it gets down to below 3 volts or about 3 volts, it will just shut down. It will just stop. It will disconnect the battery from the load. If you switch on, you'll just turn it off. It also makes sure that you don't draw too much, because the battery load is drawn through the board to the load, and if it goes over 3 or 4 amps or something, it will shut down there as well. And then you can get them in the micro or USB-C as this one, and that looks after that lithium cell from stopping it from being overcharged. As you plug it in, you'll get a red light when it's charging. It'll go blue when it's finished. And that's and we'll come back to the USB charging and lithium batteries later on in some of the other installations I've got there. For an impact, of course, you can. I mean, yes, so sort of a disclaimer here. I might quote some. I'm going to talk to you this time. I might quote some figures or some capacities or some rates you should charge at, and this. I'm not saying not taking with a pinch of salt, but they're based on my findings, and not everything does what it says on the tin. Some things do, some things don't, but based on my experience, you can sort of abuse NIM packs, and I've sort of run them into the ground and run them till the loco just slows down. Quite often, if it's stopped, I might turn it off for 10 minutes and then fire it up again and try and get it back into the garage rather than have to carry the loco back. So with a NIM, I don't normally worry about protecting NIMs other than the fuse, of course. Of course, this pack is made like this as they're Vapex instant cells. This is one from Fosworks. This one, but he always puts a connector with a fuse in it. And I think normally on double A's he'll put a 5 amp fuse in there. On treble A's he'll put a 2 amp fuse, and that stops them overheating if you draw too much from there. And of course it will protect the electronics the other end as well. And that's all the protection I put on NIM. It's just a fuse for overcurrent for basically real major shorts and that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's the protection I would use for those cells. Okay, if it's okay, we'll move on. All right. This one I mentioned briefly because it's one I've not got the control about. Hold on. And yes, and when I'd finished playing with the old, you remember the stick antennas that you still see around. There were some AM and FM ones I was using with the little crystals. You change a crystal in the one in the transmitter, one in the receiver. There was I forget how many channels you could choose from, not that many. Um, and I was using speed controllers that are meant for boats or cars and that sort of thing. But then there was a company called Antenna Models that came along. I don't know whether that name rings a bell with anyone. Antenna Models, and they did a very high quality speed controller, just made for railways, and they were a lot better. Then when I came back to it after a brief time away with G Gauge, I there was a lot of this company called Deltang around. Again, a very popular little boards, little all-in-one boards. I've got one here. Um, from the blast from the past. Oh, I'm still there. I've gone back to gallery mode. That may. Oh, Ian's speaking anyway. Can anyone see that?
I can see it, yes.
Okay. Right. Okay. You appear to be spotlighted for me, Alan. Ian. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. It went back to
Okay.
everybody
Okay.
for some reason. You carry on.
Right. Okay. So there's Deltang one. The 65 was it or something? This was a 3 amp device. And then of course they stopped and they stopped making those. And latterly I've discovered micron radio control. Um, that RC trains, I believe, use exactly the same protocols. I'm pretty sure that they're probably correct now. This might be here tonight. Use the same, bring us the DSM2, DSMX protocol or something that they connect to. And this is again pretty it can be a very basic device. You've got 2 wires in, 2 wires out. This as just as a side thing, when I install in my locos, I always have a 4-pin plug for the receiver, and that's so I can just change receiver. I can just unplug it from the hub of connections and just plug a different receiver, even a different a Fosworks or something else in. Always use the same size JST to change receivers easily. So that's Micron. It's there's various outputs. It's got directional lighting. It's got 3 what they call full power functions, which what I mean by that is the function will actually supply the full voltage of the batteries on the functions. I think only a limited current on the functions. They're mainly designed for they can be designed for they can switch relays or lights, including it's especially useful for things like Halogen diesels, say, or dipole locos with lights in, but have all of them now have resistors built into the lighting boards, so you can't always feed the lighting board with 3 volts. You get LEDs that barely show because there's such hefty resistors on the lighting boards, because the lighting boards have got to cope with full voltage track, maybe 16, 18 volts from a DCC system, from DC track. So hence why it was useful that there was 3 full voltage functions there for lighting. And then this can do a constant 3 amps. So this can I've used these in double engine Algen before. Again with a put a 2.5 or 3 amp fuse on the power supply so to make sure it doesn't go too far over, or not at all, in fact. There's also a tiny one as well. This is, I can't remember this, does it say on it? Oh yeah, 1.2 amps. As the little one, you see the maximum voltage of this one is 13 volts for the little mini one. And that's an ideal one for something like, well, the sort of dipole 060s and that sort of thing, including the 08. To be honest, though, that's small enough to go anywhere. Anyway, there's not a massive price difference in them anyway. And this, I think you can have a maximum of 20 volts though, which is again something else. I don't know what some people just want a sort of they have like a diesel depot or some sort of depot, and they just got locos trundling around. Others have got full circuits, great big routes outside, have got inclines and all the rest of it. So I've found when if we don't provide enough volts, sometimes you won't get express speeds with 10 brass coaches, for instance. So while 8 or 10 cells, NIM cells, is fine for pottering around in an end-to-end sort of exhibition. So if you want full speed around the garden with a nice long rake of coaches, then maybe you might need 12 or 14 cells even. 12 cells normally is enough for the Hellgen diesels to go there pretty fast. The same with my Les Clark Black 5. That's not got NIMs in, that's got lithium. We'll look at that later. But there's something is something to consider, how many cells you can fit in to get, because the voltage will govern your topmost speed. If you can't get it going fast enough, then it's no good putting more capacity in. It's really more cells, more volts you need really to get that going. We won't. I mean, I'm not. I wasn't going to show you micro. I was just going to talk about there's a lot of cameras again. There's plenty in the range of controllers. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the TX 22, 21, and various controllers. They're the same, pretty much the same model numbers they were in the Dell tank. And you'll see them at RC trains as well. I think again it's the same. I'm pretty sure they're all compatible. Those two are. Yes, as Paul mentioned there, you can always use a booster to up the volts on your. That's what I've been doing with some Ace trains steam locos are converted. I've put booster chips in there to up the voltage. Just even 2 or 3 volts is quite often enough to get a loco running at sort of proper express speeds that you want to do. If you've got that sort of layout to go and run them on. Be lucky enough. I belong to a club in Harpenden, Brambleton Model Row, and they've got quite an extensive outdoor line there. We chuck trains around there at breakneck speeds, and it's quite good fun seeing them sort of rush through around the gardens there. Yeah, so again, 12 different channels, so you can choose between 12 different receivers. You can bind more than one receiver to the same channel, but if both logos are on at the same time, then they'll both move. So yeah, I think that's what those covered really. They're quite an established. They're very reliable, excellent range. I mean, not the best range of the stuff we're going to look at, but pretty good range. The loco remote, of course, is Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi it very much depends on how good your phone is or your tablet. What's the antenna like on that? So Wi-Fi isn't the best range. You can walk around the corner of the building, whatever, in the house, and you can lose contact. And I think the only problem I think with Wi-Fi is that if you disconnect, then your phone might faff around connecting to the house Wi-Fi again, or it might go on to 4G, and then you have to go and force it back on to the loco Wi-Fi. So that could be a problem, which is why I once you tried out loco remote, and please try it out because it's a lovely system to use. The first upgrade is to have a dedicated controller. Any old Android phone, you must know some young people who are getting new phones every other year or every year or whatever. And if they've got some cast-offs from a few years back, even a 10-year-old Android phone will run loco remote without a problem. And then you can do things like remove every other Wi-Fi from it. You've just got your loco Wi-Fi's on there. There's no house Wi-Fi. You could disable the lock screen. You can disable all the security on it. It doesn't close its screen down every 2 minutes or whatever. You can turn all that off. With Android phones, they'll have a removable battery. You can still get batteries for these old phones. So I can't recommend that enough. If you're using a smartphone, not just loco remote, but any Wi-Fi based one, you've got to be careful with, I suppose, some of the other ones we're going to look at that need apps, because the apps might not run on the older phones as the apps get updated. There's the danger of that. Yes. Right. Okay. I've gone back a system. I've gone back to the other one. So, any questions about Micron and those Deltang, the sort of it's like the Deltang replacement, if you like. Again, RC trains is also. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying RC trains is pretty much the same thing. Right, on to
Philip. Sorry, before you continue, Dr. Dave, who's one of our members, has asked, will you be covering different systems in terms of possible analog and digital servo control? Now, he's a live steam man, so he's looking at RC controllers regulators using a servo.
No, not this evening. I've got a very limited experience, I must admit, with servos. The closest I've come doing that is having a servo with a driver stuck to it, so it pops up when they change in. Not bad of that. So no, sorry, but I can see that. I mean, I think that's a whole even on its own. I would say. I know.
If Dave is at Gildex, which is highly likely, I suppose he could come and have a chat with you, couldn't he?
Well, you could also chat with the chap at RC Trains, because I saw him demonstrating a servo one at Kettering, I think it was. Because there's in this range of these Micron or RC Trains, you get ones with servo controls on them to operate various. I can't remember how many, but it's one for use with servos, particularly for live steam. So that is one. That's one I'd recommend if you're thinking of radio controlling your live steam. There's two. It's the next one and that one, Micron.
Yeah.
Fosworks also do analog stuff that all control servos as well. Again, I've just watched people use those. I've not installed it in myself. I've been on the batteries and the electric motors and things.
He will be at Gildex running live steam, and he says he also knows the Fosworks range as well. So
okay, well, he should speak to Steve at Fosworks, and sorry, I can't remember the RC Trains man, but
Phil Partridge. Paul says Phil Partridge.
That's it, Phil. I knew it was a lovely. He had a lovely first name. Yes, he'll no doubt be there.
Thanks for that, Paul. Richard, have any other questions come in that you know of?
Not at the moment. Did you cover the one from Paul? More cells, or you can use a...
Oh no, that was a comment. Yeah,
that's a comment. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, there's no more.
Yeah. Okay. Not all. The only thing to look at, I'll say, with boosters is, he says, run into the cupboard. Oh, not all boosters are created equal, and that Brian's helping is here tonight, and he'll tell you that the trouble we had trying to get a decent booster that actually could provide a decent amount of amps. Now this one's a £2 from eBay, and I think it says they'll they can provide 5 amps, double the voltage or whatever, and provide 5 amps and draw 5 amps. But you're lucky to get 2 or 1.5 or 2 out of there. Conversely, this is Pololu device. Pololu device. This is nearer £20, but I've drawn 5 and 6 amps through this. Like it can go up to 7 amps, and these are excellent. You can also see this. You can tuck this away somewhere quite easily. And this is a fixed 15-volt one, I believe. So you provide something between, for as much as you can, but say 8. I normally put 2 lithium cells into this, so about 8 volts, and it does 15. In fact, you've got one of these in a Helgen Deltic. I've just got 2 lithium cells, and we'll look at that later when we talk about USB charging. But yes, so voltage boosters, like I say, you pay your money. Right. So I'll have a quick look at the Posworks. This is quite a popular system. My little box of Posworks, and here's the basic. Okay, now these I must admit I have installed a few analog Posworks with the My Loco sound card add-on for it, but primarily what I do an awful lot of for myself, club members, and others are this range that have output DCC. You see that on the outside there's the 12-volt or 12 to 28 volts, and then there's the DCC output, and that will go. And this one is, you can tell by the big output transistor, but this is the 5 amp one. And these are a very popular one because if you want all the bells and whistles and you want your full DCC sound, but you can't be bothered with all that programming lark, and I don't want to have to use a computer to set up my trains and things. I just want to have a controller. Apologies, I should have had these. These should have been in the box, didn't they? Really. I just want a controller. I want a controller with a Fordham reverse. And I can blow a few whistles or whatever. But I want the sound. I want realistic sound. This is actually this is a TX2. So this is not technically not a DCC one, but it works fine. But it's only got 3 functions. I grabbed the wrong one, didn't I? There we go. More common ones for DCC involve, if you can see here, we've got 12 functions here. 1, 2, 3, and then you use these shift buttons to get 4 to 12 combinations, either green or red or both, and you'll get 12 functions. There's another controller. I was hoping to, but apparently Steve Posworks is moving house at the moment, so he was going to get me a couple more demo handsets, because I go through them. I seem to I get them and then I sell them on. So I've got a few, and if you promise not to tell Steve, I'll show you how. The story is, a few years back, he had a duff set of buttons on the top. He had a bad batch of buttons, and because I didn't want to bother him, he had a few to do. I'd recently got a 3D printer, so I'm sorry it's a bit grubby. So I printed myself a box, and I put the insides inside my box, and I replaced the buttons with little with little sort of metal push buttons. They were a bit higher quality than others, and I've even put ones that light up. So this one's green and this one's red for the green and red buttons. But anyway, there's another control. This is the reason I wanted to show you this controller was this is TX410. So you can choose between 10 different locos. There's numbered at 0 to 9, which niggles me slightly. Why can't it be 1 to 10? But, and that's a very popular controller, and it's rather than the center off. I'm not some people are fans of center off, and they don't like it anyway. Clockwise for forward and reverse, anti-clockwise for reverse. I've never really liked. Well, I preferred the full throttle range, and then the reverser where you go forward and backwards. So that's a very nice controller to use, and the real one. I mean, this is not my keenest creation, 3D printed one there. That works, but it's more like that. Quite a neat device. Got a sliding panel for your treblés, but they'll last weeks and weeks of it being on, not I mean over weeks. So there's the control. I've not got one here. Must have passed it on to someone. The receivers are also available in a flat format. You can see those two boards there, because all these things have something in common. There's the receiver that gets this side, the receiver that gets the radio signal and gets the logic and the control signals, and then there's the other side is like an amplifier that provides a nice beefy current to provide to the DCC decoder or motor, or in this case it's DCC. So those two boards, this is available. Imagine if I take those one board off there and stretched it out this way with a little umbilical between it, and so there's a much more flexible one you can mount in an L shape, or flat along the roof, or in a board that would fit most of these boards anyway, but it's more flexible fitted. But if you've got the roof, this is quite a neat. It's still fairly chunky compared to the next stuff we're going to look at, but it's very broad. And we were talking about range earlier on. This is the best range. It's the best range out of everything, and not just pips the others to the post. It really is by magnitudes, in my opinion, and by opinion by other club members that use these. The range is just second to none. I'll show you. That's under repair. I've got an Ace Britannia, because I run all sorts of toys on my train set. This is buried underneath the batteries inside the brass tender, and I can still get 100 meters or so away. And there's he's got a socket on the later one. There's a socket to plug in an external antenna, but I've never needed them. Even inside a brass tender, I've not needed the aerial. Where I've told you need them, if you put them inside a die cast, a big die cast, it's got some American stuff or something, MTH or something. It's got a really thick die cast spoiler, and in there where you might need an external antenna to get that same sort of range. But the range is superb. If range is important, then this is the system. And again, like I say, there's all the DCC-ness is sort of hidden from you, because you've got this, you've got knobs, no screen, no programming buttons. So that's
Philip, sorry, yeah. Just a quick question from me. This one, just looking at that Omni controller you just had.
Oh yeah.
If you want to control more than one locomotive, how do you select other locomotives with that controller?
Well, with this one, um, this hasn't got a selector, so it's the idea is one controller at a time. But you can, like Micron and RC trains and everything, you can bind an unlimited amount of receivers with the same controller.
Right.
You just got to turn one off and turn the other one on. And if it's not found, I ought,
I see. So
yeah,
if you've got a particular chipset in one loco, then that controller is for that one. If you got
yeah,
if you've got a receiver from the same family of say a Fosworks one, and you want to control that, you need to use another controller then. How
yeah,
you swap between the two?
yeah, yeah. With the if I go back to my I'll swap cameras.
Yeah,
If you go back to my one, ignore the fact that it's a white
it's a
box.
Philips special. Yeah,
Philips does it, but it is the Fosworks controller.
yeah,
So what happens is you're controlling loco number 6 there.
yeah.
I can respect someone. 4. Oh, goodness me, 4 or 6, let's say.
Or is it 4 because it starts at 0?
Oh, don't start that. Don't start me off.
Sorry.
So you've you're controlling. You've got to allow where you can leave trains running
Yeah.
continuously without. So you've set one going, and you now think, oh, I want to control number 7 now. Well, when you flick, see the LED there. As soon as you flick to a different channel, it starts flashing. Now, while it's flashing, these controllers don't do anything.
Okay.
And so if loco 7 is stationary, you set it to 0, put it in neutral, and then you press the red button to stop it flashing. And now we're controlling loco 7.
Right. Okay. So if you've got, for example, I mean, that will only do up to 10
Yeah.
loco. Will all the systems only do a maximum of 10 locos?
There's one that does I believe it's got 30. It's got a 31. It's got a
30.
it's got a toggle switch where it goes for 3 lots of 10.
Right.
Same selector, and then it's A, B, and C. And I'm
So
sure, yes, it is. Yeah, it is. It's 30. 30
yeah, so
loads.
effectively it's working the same as a DCC system, but
Yes,
instead of actually typing in a loco number, you're just changing the selector to whichever
that's it.
loco it is for that system. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. And if I was going to swap back to loco 4, I'd move around to 4. And
Yeah,
remember, I left it going around, so I'd sort of estimate where I'd left, what speed I'd go in what direction. It's going forward about that fast, and then press the red
press the
button.
red button.
You're taking control
Yeah,
at number 4 again. So
excellent. Thank you. I mean,
yeah, so
I hope that also answers the question that John Gowers posed as well, because I think he was
yes, well,
trying to
that's what
figure
it
out
said.
how the remote recognizes the correct locos. It's basically what I was asking as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you should. Yes, the theory is they stay moving the direction you last controlled them at.
Yeah,
Where you left them.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, that's good question. Thanks for that.
Any more questions, Richard, that you can
On,
see?
on
No, I haven't at the moment, Ian.
Okay.
Phosphorus,
Actually,
I would say.
sorry, Philip, there is one. Rod has asked, is sound possible with Micron?
Yes. You again. Well, 2 ways. I'm going to wind back a bit as well. When I first started with Deltang, so it's Micron, basically the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But back before, there, I forget exactly what year, but let's just say early noughties. Locksound were doing their. So I think they took 19 or 2000. I think Locksound first started doing decoders, but certainly around about the turn of the century, I was putting DCC in track powered locos. But when I decided to go dead rail, I did try DCC sound chips under DC power, and Locksound and Zemo are particularly good at that. It's all gone slightly wrong, but I'll get to that in a minute. When you, what I used to do was I would with a DC. So you enable DC mode on the DCC decoder, and then when your controllers are at about 7 volts, you'd hear the loco start up. It would start up and it would do its idle, and you just sit there. And then you'd increase, and then it would pull away. It would release the brakes and pull away. You'd get a random horn every now and again, or a whistle or whatever. And then when you slow to a stop, if you got it right, it would slow to a stop, and the sound would still be on. Now you had to completely to change direction. You had to turn the decoder off. You had to power it down. So change direction, power it back up again. It'd start up, and then it would then move off in the opposite direction. The problem we're getting now, which I've been talking to Zemo about this last week, exchanging some emails, because their stay alive on their decoder, their sound decoders is on their the large scale decoders is so big that the decoder stays powered up for like 90 seconds if it's not actually doing anything. If it's just if the loco is just sitting there, even with the tick over noise, it can go for a minute or so. And so you'll wait. And there's no, unlike the ESU, the ESU you can program with receivers. I'm sorry, I'm going into the programming thing very quickly, but with the ESU you can program how long the stay alive is used for, and I believe you can turn it. I've never tried it. I think you can turn it off, so it doesn't work at all. But you can't with Zemo. Zemo is hardwired to the rectifier, and it just whatever power comes into the chip, it just stores it and then it releases it, and the decoder uses that power. So that makes DCC sound under DC control a bit annoying, because I tried it out on Les Clark Black 5 the other day thinking, oh, this will be a good way, but I thought, oh, it's not going to work, and it doesn't. It's very annoying changing direction. It takes about 90 seconds to start going another way. It's not so the other way for the analog for the Micron RC trains and so on is the same sound for the analog Fosworks. There's a Myloco sound. This is a Fosworks sort of badged one. I think he arranged and put some different sounds on, possibly. I'm not sure. Not certain. I don't do enough of these really. But this can be triggered. Again, there's a Micron board you can buy to attach to the logic outputs, and you can trigger various sounds. You get the engine noise all the time as soon as it's on, the chuffing sound, or a diesel varying note diesel sound, and you can trigger other whistles and bells and safety valves and everything with functions on the Micron. So that is an option for sound with the analog controllers. Sometimes when by the time you've bought all the bits, you do wonder whether I could just pay a little bit extra and had a DC sound, then it'll be the right sound for the loco, and you could still use for this evening, but you could still use the triggers here to fire off certain effects on your DCC decoder. Most large scale decoders have 3 inputs that you can, as you just connect them to ground, and then the decoder can be programmed to play a sound when that input is triggered. But again, that's a whole evening on its own. Something like that. So yes, it's not. It's a little bit more wiring if you're not going to do it the DCC way. But there we go. Look, Brian.
Yeah, Brian's put up the web link to Micron for that.
Yeah, my right-hand man there. He's on the ball. Yeah. Okay. So that's Micron again and Fosworks. Great system again. My dad loves this system. My dad is 84 and he ambles around the garden running the black fibre. We've got an Ace 8F with Fosworks in it. He loves them, and he's pretty adept with it. Although he does, as Brahmatil, he does sometimes leave points out the wrong way for everyone else. But that's we'll have to school him more. Right. So on with that. So given now, because we're with Fosworks, we got into DCC, and we're going to do some more of that. Oh, it's been an hour. Am I okay to carry on with these?
Yeah, just continue.
Yeah, okay. So next, I'm going to look at Wi-Fi tracks. Let's have a look at these again. Wi-Fi, as the name seems to indicate, it's Wi-Fi again. It's a Wi-Fi based system. Here's basically the range of the receivers. There's a nice big beefy. I don't know whether it quotes. There's not an official current rating, but certainly I had a chat with the manufacturer, and I think the wiring is supposed to be good for 10 amps, but this is don't quote me. That's not really but for G gauge, it's used in G gauge for big, like great big gauge one, big boys with MTH with rubber tires on them, that sort of thing. To pull 2 or 3 amps per motor. This is you just need to make sure your wires are meaty enough so they don't glow. And then there's this little 1 amp device here, which you can see is it's not much. It's just slightly longer than a double O gauge sound decoder, really, and that's Wi-Fi. So we'll hopefully see one of these in action as well. These are Australian. They've made guy over there, Steve. Brian will probably come up with his name. All at Wi-Fi tracks. He's already got the link there. Wi-Fi tracks, but they're available through. There's a couple of retailers that stock them in the UK. Digitrains and I think Coastal do. They haven't always got the range, but if you nag them, they will get them in for you. I've not talked about prices, have I? Right. The sordid matter of coin. I won't. So what's let's have a look at what I'm working, and then we'll talk about the way you can integrate it with existing systems and stuff. Right, probably best. Yeah, I think I'll do this. See what I might bring it. Where's the box? The knife into my hand. Maybe whether it's gonna. Actually, I better not sit running, had I really? Off that box. I'll try being closer. So this is my one of my successes, which is, but there's the power switch and the charge socket there under the dome of a Daypol Unity. I always go for the gaudy colours, me. The reason for that sort of paperclip type of thing stuck on the switch there is to attract the magnet in the dome. And hopefully, that's it. And hopefully it doesn't fall off. If you put it, yes, it doesn't fall off in use or bounce off. So again, this basically it needs a DCC decoder, so it's only to work with DCC. So batteries, the Wi-Fi tracks receiver, DCC decoder. It doesn't have to be sound. It can be a cheap 1195 motor decoder. Let's see a glow. I think I left the LED on as glowing. No, you can't. I can see it, but you probably can't. And back to the trusty iPad or iPad copy. Right. Okay, we need a new Wi-Fi. Right, there we go. We've got there's the Wi-Fi for the Wi-Fi tracks. That should connect. It's complained about there's no internet on it again. There we go. Back to the browser, and then Wi-Fi tracks. I've got shortcuts. They're always the same addresses. These Wi-Fi systems. Here's like the sort of the setup page for it. So we haven't really got time to go through every single one, but we'll have a look in settings where you can set. Now with the most recent update, after much badgering from Brian and myself, Steve has put. This is another Steve. It's in Australia. He's put. You can change the SSID now, and it used to be a really long series of serial number with Wi-Fi tracks at the end. And if you had more than one loco, unless you remember what one they're called, but now we can rename the Wi-Fi as the loco. So this is 23, the road number, the number on the side, and then F for Phil, and then underscore W because it's Wi-Fi tracks. Again, there's a reason for that as well. And then the actual locomotive, give it a name, and also what its DCC address, the DCC address of the decoder, because the like the FOSWorks, that's some of the dimension with FOSWorks. When you put a FOSWorks receiver in a loco, it's expecting the decoder to be on address 3, which is anyone in DCC knows that's like the default address. Now you can chat with Steve and he will make them a different address. You don't need them to be different. That controller will still choose between the 10 different channels or the 30 different channels, but that's because that's based on a transmitter to receiver connection, nothing to do with the loco address. But say, as I sometimes do, I would have a switch on the bottom of my locos to switch between track power still or battery power. And so I wouldn't want FOSWorks, all my FOSWorks locos on the track on address 3. But that's another. So anyway, yeah, back to the Wi-Fi tracks. So the address, you need to know the address of the decoder. You can also set up the functions here. So give them names for all the functions from 0 to 28. Give them the names. The reason you want to give them names in there, when you produce, if this has been added in the last couple of years ago, so it wasn't at first. There's a drive controller where there's actually a controller where we can oh, Pearson. Run them, but I won't move it. Help. So this again, this is a neat solution because it's just your loco, the receiver with the decoder in, and your smart device, phone or iPad or even a laptop, as long as it can reach the Wi-Fi of the loco. I even tried, just for a laugh, I tried to connect it from my Wi-Fi TV, and I managed to get this to appear on the TV. And why you'd want to sit in the lounge while the loco is outside going around the garden, I don't know why you'd do that, but I thought I'd just try it. It was very cumbersome to use cursing around trying to get to the right thing. But anyway, that just shows again, this any old browser, an old phone will run this. You don't have to use this browser. Sometimes things will happen, like you'll find you'll zoom in on things when you so that sometimes I've turned off landscape. So sometimes the browser is not always the best thing to use, and stand off. And I'm going to try and see if there's an Android app called Engine Driver, which is a free app, and this will connect to what's called. Sorry about the terminologies. It will connect to what's called a Y-throttle server, which is basically a program that runs on a chip somewhere. It can run on your computer. It's running on the receiver, and this Engine Driver will connect to this Wi-Fi server, I think. There we go. And then it's asking me what loco do you want? I think, oh, there we go. Recent locos. Ginty 23. And now I've got control of the Ginty now. And I can I move forward? Oh, there we go. Moving. Oh, brake. Okay. So, and there's not engine driver for iOS. It's called, what's it called? Y throttle. Was it called Y throttle? I think it's called Y throttle on iOS. And again, it's a free one. The sort of you can control one loco. No, engine drivers on yes. Y throttle on iOS. There we go. Look at that. He's just so on the ball. So that's an introduction to Wi-Fi tracks. It's got, like Loco Remote, it's got its own server where you can control it with a smart device or just a tablet or phone. But bear in mind that you can't go back too far, otherwise, and still use the app. Please stop telling me that. Because the app, I think the app, for instance, I couldn't get the app engine driver app working on. Oh yes, good. Yes, I had to specifically look for an older version to run on my 12-year-old Samsung phones. But like I say, reiterate that again. If you're going to go for Wi-Fi controlled engines, get a dedicated device that you can, like this one. I've just turned off all the screensaver locks and everything. To hopefully make it easy to grab it and stop a collision. The main thing. Now, so that's app control. The other Wi-Fi tracks, there's some more hardware. This is the Wi-Fi tracks DCC gateway. Now, again, a bit more terminology. This can connect those of you with a DCC system. You can attach it to the command station. It can be powered by the command station. There's a power from the DCC track output, and then you get the easiest thing would be to go to the address. You get this board onto your home Wi-Fi. You get all the locos onto their home Wi-Fi. I forgot to show there's another section in the Wi-Fi track settings, where you can attach your loco instead of it being the access point. It can actually connect to your home Wi-Fi instead. You can then connect engine driver. You can connect your tablet to your home Wi-Fi and control the loco via the home Wi-Fi. It doesn't have to be direct connection. Again, this might be too deep for some. It's too deep for me actually. I'm getting confused. So when this DC gateway is also on the same network as your locos, it then passes that. It makes them available to your DCC system. So if you've got any NCE, or you've got the Hornby one or any DCC system, then all your Wi-Fi tracks locos, although they're battery powered and they're nowhere near the track, they're going to be controllable from your DCC system. Whether it's wired controllers or it's the big clicky buttons on the Hornby controller, or it's your gauge master thingy, what's the name with the roller thing, another one. So this is the first one where the simple can be just your smart device and the loco, and you can just take that to your club and run that on anybody's track. You can run it on the floor, of course. But if you want to go further, you've invested in some DCC gear. You can integrate your Wi-Fi tracks locos into your DCC system with this add-on board. I think it's around about £20 mark. I think, I can't remember exactly. So that is Wi-Fi tracks. I don't know whether there's any. Where does the gateway fit? Again, it's powered by the DCC. It has to be connected by the DCC because it needs to know about the bus, and to make the Wi-Fi tracks locos available on the same bus, on the same DCC system as the one you're connecting it to. Just two wires. Two wires can go to the track output, or they can just wire to a track. If you've got a nice solid connection to your track, you can just wire this gateway to the track somewhere. It will add in, it will search, it will scan the Wi-Fi for Wi-Fi tracks locos, or what Wi-Fi tracks receiving them, and then add them to the roster, if you like, of your main DCC system. But more time, I'll show it working, but it does work. So that's so yeah, the strengths. I guess again the Wi-Fi, the fact that you can just have your smart device screen or thing. Now you don't have to stick with the power serial comes from the track power. That's it. Exactly. Paul's got it right there. It comes from your DC system. It can't just be powered on its own. It needs to have the signal from the DCC, so that you can add your Wi-Fi tracks locos or Wi-Fi tracks receivers to your system. Now you can also, there is hardware available. There's a hardware version of this program. This program that connects to Wi-Fi and looks for compatible locos. That is this is the TCS controller. This is a Wi-Fi throttle. It's a throttle that connects to Wi-Fi. It looks for programs that give it information about locos. It will connect to that server and say, "Oh, what locos have you got?" And in this case, it's just this one. Don't know about actually. I think it's set up for it, but oh, it's already connected. Here we go. Oh, there we go. So again, if we want knobs and buttons, again, it's just controller and your loco, and off you go to the club and run your loco. But these are a bit pricey. This is the simple one. This is the cut down version, and it's still about £230, I think. So that's a pricey bit of kit. There's a bigger one with a bigger screen. It's got no more features. It's just got, I think it's got some extra buttons, but the buttons that are here anyway, just hidden. Or you have to shift to get to them. It's got a bigger screen, but I think that's nearer 300, about £300. But I've not got one of those. Now, for those of you interested, and I'll just show it very briefly, and you can email me if you want more details. There is a down. There's a Heath Robinson one, Pitform one you can build, and there's a whoa.
You all right?
That's my reminder to go and put the bins out, but I've already done it. So so she can't even listen to me. So yeah, there's a GitHub repository to make these, but again, jargon. But I'll send you the links if you're that way inclined. It's Arduino based, an little Arduino controller here, USB charged, mini screen. Here it goes. It's kind of these. It's found some Wi-Fi's. The top one is the Ginty. We press 0 for the top one. I was to connect. Let's see if it connects. It might not, because there might be too many things connected to it. Oh no, it's got there. Add a loco, number 1. You can list the locos. It'll only have one because it's only talking to the server that's inside here. List the locos. There we go. Just number 1. Just the one. There we go. Press the throttle to reverse. Wind up the speed. Off we go. all brake. We've got a brake button there on the side. Also serves as a power light. And I think I've put some whistles on here this time here. But this is this this is a pound. This is £1.50. This is a pound. This is £2. This is the most expensive bit. About, I don't know, about a £5. So these are immense fun making these, but we're getting technical because you have to buy these blank boards, and you have to install some Arduino software, and you have to load these things with the program or something. Oh, it's a bit. When I think of it now, I think, oh no, I don't know why I started it. But again, that's a low cost hardware thing. If you don't want to fork out one of these, it's, £15, 230. So again, Wi-Fi tracks. Oh yeah, Brian's put the links to the two TCS controllers. I think this is called, if you search for WIT controller, Wi-Fi, WIT controller, Y throttle controller, I suppose it's short for. But as you read it, it's WIT controller. And there's on YouTube, there's people that have done different cases and the knobs are different places. And Brian's got one with a bigger screen, which is quite nice. You have to upload a picture of that, Brian, to the chat. That's Wi-Fi tracks. That's a great system. And now I think I don't know have we got a Brian Anderson on that's joined? But not that I want to put him on the spot, but he's a so I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I'm not an expert in any of these systems, but I know quite a bit about all of them. But Brian Anderson, who's a guild member, he works with the inventor Steve Shrimpton. Steve Shrimpton in Australia. He works with him with all the beta ones and everything. He knows the system inside out. So he's one to quiz about that. Great system, terminal locomotive.
Philip?
Yeah.
Question from Phil Dyson. Has
Right.
Wi-Fi now replaced Bluetooth in the budget setups, and is Wi-Fi superior?
Yes, I've heard that question before. When the next one we would look at was like the Tambali / Pro Mini Air system, and that Tambali, they stopped doing their radio, their 800 stop cameras. They stopped their radio system and went to Bluetooth, and the whole bit, apparently it's that's the wrong camera. Change the microphone instead. That was clever. And they went to Bluetooth, but it doesn't appear to be available because I was quite keen to try them out. I believe they're both 2.4 gigahertz, aren't they? I'm sure a radio engineer could tell me that. I think they're, as far as range goes, all about the power of the transmitter, the milliwatts of the transmitter. Certainly some Bluetooth 4 device from more modern Bluetooth stuff can get further than some of the Wi-Fi things, but I've not tried out the latest receivers that are Bluetooth, simply because they're just hard to get hold of in the UK, and they're quite pricey to begin with. They work out to over £100 for a receiver, for like a 2 amp or 3 amp receiver. I think some of them probably know better than me, and so that's incorrect. But they're quite pricey, and then of course you've got freight and import duty and His Majesty's extras on top of your parcel. Blue Army, there we go. That's the they worked with them, and Tam Valley did one as well. Blue Rail. Blue Army is isn't that a Digitrax thing? I don't know. I can't remember. But there's Blue Rail. Blue Rail is the one that came from Tam Valley, I believe. Or they're connected to it. So, in answer to your question, Bill, certainly in this country, it's all Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi isn't any inferior, I think, to Bluetooth. It's the same, pretty much it's the same frequency. I'm sure it's a digital, it's a coded 2.4 gigahertz one. Again, it's all about the power output of the receiver and sorry, of the transmitter, and how good the antenna on the receiver is. Yeah, what's the time? 25 past 9. Can we have a quick look at the last one, Ian?
Yeah, by all means.
So I mentioned Tam Valley. This is a bit of history quickly. So when I was looking for something else other than, because I was into DCC and I wanted a way of getting them over to battery, and the first thing that came to my notice was Tam Valley. This is probably, I think it's 12 or 13 years ago. I think it must be something like that. 12 years maybe. Anyway, somewhere over 10 anyway. And they had a couple of devices, and what appealed to me was it was something you just bolted on to your DCC system. It didn't matter what DCC system. It would be the most simplest lens compact or the little Hornby select. Is it select? What's the little single one? The cheaper, the little Batman with 8 buttons on it, with eight locos. It doesn't matter how cheap your DCC system was. You could just attach this transmitter to the output. Again, just wire it to the track or the track output, and it would just send the entire DCC bus or all the DCC info going down the track would be just sent through the air. They did a European one, 868 megahertz, I think it was. And then, but it's a dumb transmitter. It just takes the signal and sends it out. It doesn't process it at all, other than modulate it with some, other than just send it out over the waves. And then the receiver, this is the wrong example. The receiver, this is the at a 4 amp one and a 1 amp one. I'm talking in detail because I'll just show the primary equivalents in a minute. And this just was 868. It received the code, the DCC bus. It modulated with generated some AC, sends it into the decoder, and the decoder is none the wires. It's getting exactly the same bus that or DCC info that's on the track, and it's totally visible to your DCC system. And I thought that was quite a neat idea, really, because basically just bolting on radio to your DCC. That's all you're doing. But then, what the problem? I think why they left this field, it was absolute abortive range. This is the worst. Fosworks is the best. This is clear loser in the range stakes. Go anywhere, anything metal, and your local could be 10 foot away. You could turn around, and your body would just cut off the signal. But again, going back to Phil's question about Wi-Fi, the good thing about this type of radio, same as Micron, same as Fosworks, is there's no handshaking going on when it reconnects. So it's unconnected, connected, unconnected, and it's just instant, and you're back in control. With the Wi-Fi thing, you go out of range, go around the corner, and your phone, your smart device goes, oh, Wi-Fi, I'm back on 4G, and you may have to go into Wi-Fi and get back on that Wi-Fi again. So the dumb radio systems in some ways are better for that, for when there's connection issues. It's great to have that's a short for Wi-Fi. I think they're really quick. The Wi-Fi tracks and the local are very quick to connect, as long as it's your device is the bottleneck. Your device is going, oh, what Wi-Fi is it? Oh, what speed? Oh, it's doing all this handshaking and going on every time you sort of reconnect to it. So they Tam Valley stopped doing those. They did the blue rail. They did the blue rail. So let me just turn this down. interrupting me with announcements. They did the Brew Rail one, and then somebody in the States, Daryl Lamb, his name is, has done this system, Promineer. It's a system that works fine, works great. But it's still he's still tweaking it. He's making it smaller. He's adding things to it. And this is it's a replacement of Tamba, and it works exactly the same. It's compatible with them. It'll run. And here's a receiver for it. Again, if you remember, I talked about the two components to the Fosworks system: the receiver and the thing that receives the control signals, and then the amplifier for the decoder, the thing that had the amps to give to the decoder or motor. So there's the receiver, and then he attaches various motor controllers, the motor amplifiers to it. There's the biggest one is this thing here. There's a side. This is commercially available motor amplifiers used for sort of high ampage motor control, and this will do 14 amps. Ridiculous, but it's easily fits in a big Helgen diesel or something. And you connect the receiver to the receiver to the motor amplifier with tiny. The wires can be as tiny as you like because there's no current at all between the control signals and the actual amplifier. And then you have big beefy so they're around. Sorry, in here you have a bigger wires to actually supply the voltage in and DCC out. But there's much smaller amplifiers. Did I put them somewhere? Thought I put them in here. I must have put them in a different box last. Well, so much for preparation. Well, I know where they are. Yeah, here's one that's attached to the receiver motor amplifier. This one can do 3.5 amps. And then attached by a little board. Now, downside of using this controller is that it's got a sensitivity thing. When it senses the inrush current of when the decoder starts up, particularly if it's got stay alive, or the stay alive capacitors fill up with power, and it senses that and it shuts it down. And so there's a sort of a 1 ohm resistor, 1 ohm 3 watt resistor there to stop that affecting. That does mean you're dropping a volt that's about a volt that's supplied to the decoder, but it stops it shutting down. So that's one problem. This amplifier doesn't suffer from that because it's just so beefy. It doesn't care about what you connect to it. That's a small decoder, but there's even smaller receivers. Sorry, power amplifiers. Here we go. Here's one, like another Palulu device, again coupled with the receiver. That's quite tiny, and this will do. I think this does about 2 amps. I fit a lot of, or 1.8 or something like that. I fit a lot of these to dipole 08s and that sort of thing. That's fine. Again, this is so this is just to remind you, this is the like Promineer devices, and they, like I said, they work with any DCC system. You just connect the transmitter. Looks very similar. They're like a one in a box. Again, it looks a bit Heath Robinson, but these components all work fine. You connect this to your DCC system, and this is powered from it. There's the transmitter there, and there's also a little display which tells you the last instruction that the transmitter sent out, which is quite useful. And I'm going to show you this powered up with my oh, here's the line. I'll turn it off here. Okay. Right. Oh, there we go. you won't be able to read the display, but that just powers up and shows you what radio frequency it's using. And it'll, once I start controlling things, which last demo of the evening, what have we got here? I think we'll try. Okay. Might be a mistake. We'll try an 08. So the receiver's on. Transmitter's on. Generally, with all the radio stuff, you normally turn the transmitter on first, and then the receiver. For instance, if anyone who's converted to loco with Fosworks, if the Fosworks receiver doesn't detect its bound transmitter, after a couple of seconds, it just sends DC straight to the decoder, and so it will just take off at full speed in one particular direction. Once it's found its transmitter, you can then turn the transmitter off, and it'll wait for that transmitter to reappear. But if you first power it up when there's no transmitter, then it'll take off. So that's where you would disable DC mode on your decoder, so that if Fosworks didn't have a transmitter, the loco wouldn't turn off. Anyway, power this up. This might not work. Oh, wrong one. Oh yeah, can I use the app? Where's my phone? Right. No, that won't work. So I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi. See what I mean about Wi-Fi? There we go. TP-Link. That's this is a Roku Z21 system here, with this router on top. And it's just like a battery powered box I've got for it, so I can take it around and use it other places now. So Z21 should work. It should find. There we go. It's found the thing. Oh, there we go. So much for that. It's not programmed into. I've not got it in. I've not got it in this list. So other controllers. So this is my. If you look carefully, you can see the modification I've made to my loco mouse here. If you look very carefully, I was fed up of putting AAA batteries in it every fortnight. So now I just charge it 2 or 3 times a year. Anyway, let's don't say it's not on this one. Oh, there we go. Wait, 08717. Oh, there we go. Ooh. So let's go through the sequence there. This is a standard. Well, it was a standard WLAN mouse, a Roku device that connects to my Wi-Fi. Well, in this case, it's connecting to the hub, the dedicated hub for the Z21. It then talks to the Z21 and sends out the DCC signals, which go to here. And I think you might be able to see there. Oh, you can't really. I can just about make it out. But it's got. It shows the address of 8717, which is the address of my my shunter there. That's so Probe in the Air is if you've got a lot of locos to do and you've got DCC kit, it is the most effective way of getting battery into all of them, because the receivers are half the price of Fosworks and Wi-Fi tracks. But it's got its limitations. Limitations are, I mean, the range is much better than Cam Valley. It's not Fosworks range, but nothing else is. at the moment. The Micron and RC trains are very good range, but they're what's the speed of them? So it's not good. It's better the range than Wi-Fi, but it's sort of in between, really, in between Wi-Fi and Fosworks, I guess. But this is again this deserves a even on its own. If you're into DCC and you've got the gear already, then the Pro Mini Air system is quite a good way of just attaching radio to your kit that you've already got, and then you just put batteries in here. We've not really talked about batteries much. Probably we touched on them a bit about the protection and stuff like that. But my sort of my aim, because I still do a lot of installation for friends and club members and things. I used to do commissions, but my nerves got the better of me. I don't really do that anymore. But I'm trying to take some of the mystique out of charging, particularly with lithium cells. I've not touched on lithium polymer. I don't tend not to use them. Again, this is just my experience, my view. The only sort of mishaps I've had have been with lithium polymer. Probably my own fault, but sometimes some of them just swell up just sitting on the bench. Not doing things. So I've never had that problem with lithium ion with Lion batteries. So I do use lipos for very small current stuff like coach lighting and that sort of thing, because they're great because you can just add one of those. Remember those little boards I showed you that charge a lithium cell? Just put one of them in, and you can just USB charge. All my coaches are all just USB socket on them. Just you charge them to a couple of hours charge, and they'll do 8 or 10 hours of light on them. So I use them for them, but so what I'm doing, to do that, what I'm doing is try to make my locos that have lithium ion in. I'm trying to make them USB chargeable using those little boards. I'll show you one more, which is Jan. This is a can't. Feel free to contact. You'll share my email out, won't you? And anyone can just.
Yeah, I can put it into the video as well.
Yeah, send stuff around. So this is you can tell what loco this is. Tanks there. It's a Deltic, and actually we just got two cells. This has just got 2 lithium cells, and one of those boosters we were talking about. Those boosters that's boosting the 8 volts of these 2 cells up to 15 volts, because I want this to run at high speed, pulling in every coach I've got. I'll show you the cells. They are ginormous. Oh, I found that option stuff. So here's your standard sort of cell. It's 18650. 18 is 18 millimeters diameter. 650 is 65.0 millimeters long. So these are 26. Is it 26 feet? Oh, 26 650. Or is it 25? 25 650. There we go. So these are much chunkier. So I've got 2 of these in the Deltic here. But I'm pleased to say I'm still getting 3.5 hours of use from it for one charge. And what I've done is, wow, what's gonna drop out when I turn this upside down? What I've done, so I've got the usual button which selects track or receiver source power, but I've also got a 4-pin charge socket. Even though the eagle-eyed above you, the ones that know, when you've only got 2 lithium cells, you only actually need 3 pins for balance charging. and I could put an adapter and just make that into a 3-pin for a balanced charger. But again, I want to take that sort of that faffing around with chargers and choosing how many cells, what rate to do, what capacity, all this sort of thing. Take that out, and I'm just using those little boards we were looking at. Here's 2 of them with a USB-C, and so the charge goes in there, and then that goes in the USB-C, and it takes about 5 hours to fully charge the logo just with any USB socket. No balance charger. These boards are balance charging each cell individually. It seems a kind of way of doing it, but it works really well, and it's something I'll be doing more of. I think in the future. I haven't got time to see all the others, but my Ellis Clark Black 5 has got pretty much the same arrangement, except it's 3 cells. It's three of the smaller cells in the tender, and again it charges with a USB version of that. The only difference is it's a 6-pin version, and it uses 3 boards, because these boards are in fact I think they work out about 40 pence each or something, these charge boards. So one socket, one USB socket, balance charges 3 cells just from USB. But if those that have got balance chargers, well, you can just add an adapter to join the inner pins together, which is what all a balance plug is. It's just a pin, a wire from in between each where the cells join. You get a wire there as well, so I can do that. So yeah, that's a quick look at this hideous experiments I'm trying with lithium cells, but I'm trying to make it safer, not more dangerous. And the safest way to charge lithium when you've got more than one is also each cell needs to be charged individually. That's what a balance charger does, and that's what these little USB chargers do. And when you've got, like me, we've got an open day at the club or something, I might want to charge about 6 or 8 locos. Well, I've not got 8 balance chargers, but I've got loads of USB chargers. I'm sure we all have.
Yeah.
From years of phones and things. So well, if you've got any other questions? Oh yeah, yes, Paul. I'll send you one to try out, friend.
Is he inferring from that he would like one? Or 2?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm
dried up.
I'm done now.
Let me drink water.
I'm sorry if that went a bit too technical in the last third, but think about that. Those of you here are thinking, oh, shall I try radio control? Shall I try battery control? Think about the loco remote one. It's not a massive investment to do one loco. Battery pack about £20. The loco remote itself about 30, and you've already got the controller. And you don't. When I first, if you remember my first test where I just plugged in the motor and the battery and the loco remote chip itself, that was my first installation. I didn't even put a switch or a charge socket off. When I turned it off, I just lifted it and pulled the battery out to turn it off, and I took the battery pack away to charge it, and I ran like that for a little while because it was such a buzz just to convert a loco in about quarter of an hour, like a Limo loco, and I was running it, off it went. And it's yeah, I'm about 2/3 of the way around my 4th and final garden railway. But from the first one, I realised cleaning the track again for the 2nd time that day, I thought, I'm not having this. Not in this country, goodness me.
Right. Well, has anybody got any other questions before we wrap this up this evening at all? I think most people are probably sat there trying to still take everything in.
Yeah, I think some of they disappeared off when it got to DCC, but it's all there. Whether you, like I say, whether you want simple control or bells
Yeah.
and whistles, you can do it with the Edval.
Paul has just said if anyone is on Facebook and would like the help with battery power, please join O-Gauge Battery Trains. It's obviously the Facebook group on there, so that's a good pointer. Thank you, Paul. What I'm going to do now, then, I'm just going to quickly do a quick PowerPoint of what is coming up the Guild, and also in terms of our next evening with sessions. So bear with me while I quickly share screen. Share screen. Okay, our next evening with 26th of September is with Dr. John Nishaw and Julian Best to discuss layout and train operation control using JMRI and train controller software. So going from having dead rail and battery controlled locomotives, you're going to go the complete 180 degree turn and look at train control systems and how you can have automation on your model railways. So that's 26th of September, 8 o'clock as usual for the time being this year while we're still on BST. Free to non-members as usual, and £3 nominal charge for non-members who would like to attend. Registration essential as always, as places are limited. For the calendar for the rest of the year, as you can see, 27th of August completed. September with John and Julian. In October, we're with Dan Everson, who's going to take us through painting and weathering figures and buildings, a topic more modelers are key to learn about, and Dan has some excellent tips to help us achieve stunning results. November was originally going to be Stephen Fay, but unfortunately yesterday he contacted me. He's had to pull out for domestic reasons, things going on at home. So I'm going to try and find somebody to fill that space as soon as I can. So those of you on the forum, please keep an eye on the Guild events section of the forum for a forward announcement of whoever I may be able to press gang into doing November for us. For any non-members, if you join the Guild now, you get, I still think you still get a 1 month free trial, don't you, Jackie? She's still there. And you enjoy quarterly gazettes, Guild news, the online shows and activities, or shows, of course, the Guild forum and the website. £30 for UK members, £35 for the rest of the world. And rather than have an annual subscription where it starts at date X every calendar year, it's 12 months from when you join, rather than it being an end of year type subscription.
Sorry, and the answer was yes. I was muted. I was
That's
saying
okay.
you couldn't hear me.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so 1 month free membership for those that want to join. So basically, you get 13 if you want to maintain the membership, 1 month free, and then at the end of the 1 month, you pay your subscription for further 12 months. Our website, of course, we have our front page. If you click on About Us, for those that want to join, you then get a drop-down box with Join Online available, and clicking on that, it takes you to the next page and basically the membership application form for joining online. There is more to this page, obviously, but we're just showing you a summation of that so you can navigate to it. Additionally, top right on the homepage in this nice box that I've put on it, we've got our social media links. So we've got Instagram, Facebook, and our YouTube channel. So if you click on either of those, any of those icons, it will take you to that particular social media page. Our YouTube channel dedicated as 517 public videos at the moment, and there are some other videos that are there that aren't available to non-guild members effectively. They're there that access via the website only. So that's our guild website, our webpage on YouTube. You don't have to join YouTube to be able to access the Gauge Our Guild YouTube channel, but we do appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel because it helps with the algorithms and promotes the channel. For the rest of the year, our 2 shows, of course, Guildex on the 7th and 8th of September. So that's, well, 10 days away. Very excited. Lots of money being spent, hopefully, to make the traders happy. And then a new show for us at the end of the year, Saturday, 7th of December, the winter show in Wigan, Robin Park Leisure Centre. So please try and attend those shows if you can, especially those in the north of the country, because it's a new show, new venue, and it should be quite an interesting show in terms of something new for us as the Guild. I think that's it for the screen. Yep, so I can stop share. So all it needs for me to do now is, Philip, thank you very much for a really interesting and educational session. There's a lot covered there. You did really well, and I think there's a lot for people to take away in terms of how they can approach radio control. And for those of you attending Guildex, Philip will be there demonstrating for 2 days, and he's also doing a seminar session for an hour at 2 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon. So if you want to go along and chat with him and see what he's doing in the seminar, please do. But he'll certainly be there with, is it Brian that's with you at the weekend? He'll be there with Brian, who's been with us tonight, to answer your radio control questions. So Philip, thank you again for everything. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Philip. Very enjoyable. Lots of information. And a quick thank you to Brian as well for putting all the links up. Most useful.
Yeah, well done, Brian.